Hi everyone, good morning. How are you?
Morning. Good. Congratulations, Michelle. Now I recognize after that day.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you. I actually see many new names here. So I guess colleagues have just recently joined us. Okay, it's already 9:01. Shall we start? You're all ready? Hi, Baki, good morning. Okay. So we are here today for the second session. I suppose you joined Gabriel's session last week, did you? Did any one of you join Gabriel's session last week?
Yes, we did. Thank you.
Great. Okay, hi City Intan, right? Okay, but he says no. All right, never mind. If you didn't join his session, it's okay. You can still follow this session. Especially for Yi, since you have been around for so long. Yeah. So today's session is actually sort of like a continuation of what Gabriel has mentioned to you last week. And it's basically what we should all be aware of and what we need to do as lecturers as we carry out our daily duties. Okay. Learning outcomes is something that is crucial to what we do every day with our students, together with them and helping them to achieve it. But before we go to the really hardcore content, right? I'd like you to look at this question here. What was your best achievement in 2022? So since we just had our Star Award thing, yeah, I think it's quite timely that I ask this question to all of you. So take 2 minutes to think about it, and then I'd like to invite you to turn on your camera and then introduce yourself and tell us where you are from, as in which school or department, and a little bit about yourself, how long you have been teaching, how long you have been with us at UOW Malaysia, and what courses that you're teaching, and then tell us what was your best achievement in 2022. Okay? So I give you 2 minutes to think about it. I will put on my timer, yeah? You can start now. Okay, time's up. Right. So can I invite a volunteer to start? I'm going to stop sharing first so that we can see everyone. Hi, Malini. I can see you there. You've got a very cool background.
Okay, because I have not used Zoom for a long time. My daughter has been using, so I can see she's been doing all this. 8-year-old. I'm shocked. How do we change the background?
It's okay. It's very cool.
Wow, I'm shocked to see the background. So they use the. Okay. Okay, I'm from UG. I joined, my name is Malini. I joined UOW KDU in 2016. And I started, teaching has been my first job since 98. So this year will be 25 years.
Wow, wow.
Okay. So I'm in SOB, School of Business, and I teach management subjects, economics. Okay. And the toughest question, best achievement for 2022. My passion is teaching. Okay, so I've been doing that since 98, you can see. I've moved about 3 organizations. I started with Tar College, and then I moved to Taylor's, and I came here because my kids were in KDU, Sri KDU. So that's the reason I moved. And they have all completed their schooling, but I'm still here. So I think that's my best achievement. I came for a reason for the discount, but I'm still here.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
so
there's nothing stopping me from moving on because they are all completed their schooling, but I'm still here. So I would consider that my best
Hey, you're
achievement.
still loving your job every day, yeah?
Yeah.
Helping your students
Correct.
get the knowledge and skills they need.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing,
Thank
Malini.
you.
Next, anyone? Any volunteers? Hi, Sheila.
Hello, Michelle. Firstly, I want to congratulate you for being nominated as the best employee. Well, we can learn from you, yeah.
Much.
I enjoy all your trainings and workshops that you've so far conducted.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Sheila. I joined, I'm at School of Business. I joined KDU in 1996.
Wow.
I've been here for 27 years. Of course, I joined the teaching profession from 2018. Prior to joining KDU, I was in the corporate sector. Of course, passion for work has always been there with me. And my best achievement, I would say, is students giving me the best evaluation scores. Yeah, I had got 4.8 for all the courses that I've been teaching. I have been teaching management and HR. Okay.
Good one, good one. That must be the best thing, yeah, when students give you good evaluation and come back and say thank you, right?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Thanks for sharing.
You're most welcome.
Azim says he's only what, 4 years old in 1996.
Well, you can guess my age now already. I'm almost close to retiring already. Next year, 60.
You don't look like anywhere close there, yeah?
Well, God's grace.
That must be a great achievement. I have to learn from you.
Of course. Always smile, be happy.
Yep, true. Thank you so much, Sheila. Okay, next. Anyone? Can we hear from someone to volunteer? Such a small group. I'm just going to call the person that is next on my screen. Yeah, Siti Intan.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Hi, I'm here in the kitchen. I'm in City
Oh.
Intan. I'm in Glemery. What to tell you? Yeah, I've been working here for about 6 years. Actually, I'm preparing for this Monday. We have set lunch last minute, so I have to do. I'm preparing the chocolate, leaf chocolate dipping for the decoration. So I'm on and off for a while. It's okay,
you're
Miss?
multitasking, yeah?
Yeah, I have to lah because not much time. Only today is already Friday, so I need to prepare everything. So
Okay.
I'm used to work before in the industrial. I work in Mandarin Oriental hotels, Sheraton Hotel, Westin, and a few more. So I'm happy to work in KDU for so far lah. 6 years with the student. I'm happy, enjoy, and I hope they all also enjoy working with me. That's it lah. What else to share?
What courses do you teach?
I'm teaching pastry bakery. The dessert. Okay, I prepare always the dessert for the function. Also, I'm preparing dessert lah. So far.
I would love to learn from you one day. Yeah. I love baking as well.
Yes, good.
I've never really had any professional training. I wish I one day will have the opportunity to do that. So what was your best achievement in 2022?
Actually, last year, actually, I already take my. I'm working and then study also as I take the degree for culinary because I have passion, and then my boss asked me to take, and then my 2022 is my last lah. So I'm already graduate lah. So that is my achievement, I think so.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done, well done. Thank you,
Yeah.
Siti.
Yeah, thank you.
So anyone next? Hi, Logeswari. Oh, it disappeared. Who wants to go next? Bai, you're next on my screen. See, you've unmuted, but I can't hear you. Okay. Okay, now I see you. Right.
Testing, hello. Can
Yep,
everyone hear me?
Can hear you, can hear you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Yobai. I'm actually from School of Nursing. I joined UOW Malaysia KDU in Penang in year 2019, October. So this year will be how many years already? 3 or 4 years. My best achievement in year 2002, I would say that our school successfully conducted a symposium for the northern regions. So I think the feedback was also is good. So most probably we'll plan for another one this year. Yeah, that's all.
So what courses do you teach, Bai? Can you share with others?
That is actually about the stoma care. It means that the patients that with tracheostomy, the one that the hole at the throat, another one is the colostomy, the hole at the intestines, which they have to bypass their normal tract to pass motions. Yeah, so we invited the doctors from, I think mostly from Glen Eagle, and another doctors is from Laguna hospitals to give the speech. And then we also invited the product specialists to actually give the workshop. So to introduce the latest product that helps to ease the to suit the patient's needs. Yeah.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Bai.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next, Alicia.
Hello, hello. I thought you won't call me.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone. I've been thinking hard what I have achieved last year. But for those who do not know me, I'm from TLC teaching, and this is my boss. I think everyone knows him, but no one knows me. But it's okay. I have my boss.
Employee of the year, that one, Michelle.
Oh, Gabriel was mentioning she's the employee of the year. Okay, so come back to me now. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
All the big shows around me. So I'm Alicia. So I'm currently at TLC Teaching Learning Center at Glen Mary. So a little background about myself is that prior joining UOW, so I just joined UOW last year around May. So I'm still a very newbie as compared to like Malini and also Sheila that have been like joining for so long, right? So I'm teaching all those personal development skills, which sometimes I also need like some advice also from like Michelle. She's a very great mentor. All right. So I think I wanted to talk about my best achievement is that I gave birth last year in December. Well, that's a bit personal, but I think work related, I would say that I managed to conduct a class for 100 over students last year for this PDS course, which I initially I thought I would not be able to handle it, but in the end, yeah, with everyone's help, yeah, I managed to get this. So I would say this is a little achievement for me, and I hope that it will be getting better as the year goes.
All right, thank you. You have great achievements personally and also professionally. Right, awesome.
Thank you. All right.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, Bai and Michelle.
Okay, anyone else want to share? I know some of you just joined us. Probably you are not quite aware of what we are doing. We're just doing a little bit of introduction, sharing about yourself, and also what was your best achievement for 2022. So those who have just joined us, welcome. I see Ken, I see Azraf, I see Jehan, Logeswari, and also Adrian. So Hazim, are you here to just check on me, or are you joining? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm observing.
Oh, you're observing today. Okay. So you,
Because I'm on off because I'm doing something else also.
okay. Just kind of check on me, see whether I do my work today or not, lah.
Yes.
Okay.
You are the best employer, so I need to validate. No. No lah. By the way, congratulations. Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations to you. Thank you. So Adrian, would you like to introduce yourself? I see you have had some difficulty joining, is it, just now? Hi, Adrian.
Hello, testing. Is
Hi,
the audio
can
working?
see you.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
can hear you too.
Hello, I'm Adrian. I'm from a School of Business. I'm the program leader over here. Background, I'm teaching mostly on the accounting papers. Okay, accounting papers, auditing, taxation, like that. All right. Achievement for 2022, I managed to get a girlfriend. But then I realized it was just a dream, so never mind. We put that aside. Okay. So achievement, okay, so for me personally is that when I first joined back in 2019, I started to teach our diploma students. So my achievement personally is that they finally graduated lah. Okay, after 4 years of a diploma plus their degree, so they finally graduated. I managed to see them go up the stage, take their certificate, and then give presents and everything lah. So to me lah, I'm glad all of them graduated lah. Those that joined me together to KDU.
Okay, that must be a really awesome feeling. Yeah, good. Great. Congratulations on your hard work, and all your babies have all blown away.
Fly away.
Thank you for sharing, Adrian.
Okay, thank you.
So can we hear from Ken? Ken? Are you there, Ken? No response. Okay, what about Azraf? I hope I got your name right. Is it Muhammad Azraf? Hi,
Hi, good morning.
good morning. Did I
Okay.
pronounce your name correctly?
My name is Ashraf. Asyraf.
Ashraf, pronounced as
Yeah,
Ashraf.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, nice to meet you, Ashraf.
Okay, nice to meet you too. Okay, so hi all, good morning. Okay, I don't know what to share with you all on my achievement on last year, but for this year, I managed to get a lecturer position lah, which is in UOW, KDU. Okay, so actually I already graduated for 2 years PhD, but I'm struggling in getting a lecturer job. Before this, I just do whatever job that I get, like a teacher, substitute teacher, and I already enter with Intel, join Intel, working as an engineer. And my biggest achievement for not for last year, but for this year, I managed to become a lecturer, and that's it in UOW. In personal achievement for last year, actually I already get married with my girlfriend, which we are in we love in a relationship for about 9 to 10 years like that. And then last year we already get married. So that's my personal achievement for last year. But for this year, it's more on getting a job that I really admire and I really wanted to become a lecturer, and that's I get this year.
Well,
It is all.
congratulations, congratulations. So you are from which school again?
I am from engineering department.
Engineering.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, so what courses are you teaching this semester?
Okay, for this sem, I teach for 3 subjects, which is the workshop, mechanical workshop, mechanical engineering design, and electronic and electrical principles.
Okay, great. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy this journey in teaching.
Okay.
It's really fulfilling to me. I mean, it's also my one of my biggest passions in life. That is sharing, to teach, to see people grow. And I hope that you will have all these meaningful moments with us at UOW Malaysia. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. So, Ken says his mic is not working. It's okay, Ken, no problem. Jehan, are you there? Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Jehan? No response. How about Logeswari?
Morning.
Hi, morning.
Sorry, I was rushing. Actually, I have some network issues also to join today morning.
No problem. It's okay. You still made it. Thank you for being here.
Okay, I'm Logesh from SOB UG, Penmary. I'm teaching finance subjects. And my boss is over there, Adrian Wong. I'm reporting to Adrian.
I see. Okay.
What I achieved last year, seriously, I cannot recall anything. I don't feel like any achievement last year. I cannot think anything because still early morning, I was rushing and everything. Cannot recall anything also at the moment.
Oh, I hope you spend some time thinking about the wonderful things that you have done last year. Be it big or small, to me, it doesn't really matter. But it's the feeling that you have done something great. Yeah.
As done something, maybe yes, but I cannot recall. As usual, class goes on. During pandemic, successfully completed online classes and everything, but cannot recall back anything at the moment.
Well, seeing your students pass the courses that you teach, it's also an achievement.
Yes, true also.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I have one China student, which I was quite worried about him. At last, he managed to get through.
Right, that's great. Awesome. That is an
That's
awesome
the only
achievement.
Yes, I think that's only I can recall back now.
Well done, well done. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Logesh.
Okay, welcome.
So like Bai here says, keep yourself healthy and well. That's also an achievement. Yes, I think one of the most important thing is to acknowledge the things that you have done, even though it can be very minor. For me, even keeping myself sane amidst all the chaos, that's an achievement. Yeah. Okay, so Ken here introduced himself in the chat. You all can read there. 2022's achievement was succeeding in my master's proposal defense and organizing the school's annual event. I'm a lecturer from SCCM handling logic, math, and physics for games. Oh, sounds interesting, yeah. Right. Congratulations. Hope that you will get your scroll soon for your master degree. Keep going, yeah. I know it must be tough. Keep going. I'm in the same shoes. Still trying very hard to complete my studies as well. Okay, so let's go back to what we are to do today. So one of the reasons why I'm asking you to share your achievement is related to what we are talking today, which is on learning outcomes. Learning outcomes is basically setting the goal for your students and seeing them achieving it. Okay, so setting the goal is very important. I'm sure you all have heard about goal setting, SMART goal setting, making sure your goals are achievable, realistic, you know, those kind of things. It's very much related to us, the way we write our learning outcomes. Okay, it's quite similar in terms of the principle of it. But of course, when it comes to teaching and learning, there are some good practices that we should follow so that our learning outcomes are measurable and achievable within the period of time that we have with our students. Okay, so that was the reason why I asked you about your best achievement. So what's on for today? As the topic goes, it's about writing measurable learning outcomes. We did a bit of introduction. We will then now look at what is learning outcome. And after that, we will look at the domains of learning. We'll take a break at 10:30 and come back to doing the practical part of it, which is writing learning outcomes. And then we will do our closing at 12:45 p.m. Okay, sounds good? Right, so I think we are on track. Okay, so what do you understand about OBE? I think you have had this before, right? OBE, you know what is OBE, right? Anybody? What is OBE? No response. No idea what is OBE? What does OBE stand for? You can turn on your mic to say, or you can put in the chat. Okay, I see Alicia Jehan, right? Outcome-based education. Okay, so what do you understand about outcome-based education? I'd like you to go to this link here and put in your thoughts. I'll put the link here as well in the chat. Okay. Okay, you can click on the link to get to the Mentimeter and then put in your answer. Okay, 2 persons have responded. So we have one person saying it's a guide you use in your teaching. Another person says achieving outcomes. Okay. And there is outcome-based learning. The outcome justify the needs. Okay. Student center where lecture are just facilitator. Okay. Focuses on learners' achievement by setting and implementing targeted learning activities that involves cognitive skills and affection domain. Okay, sounds like done a bit of work, yeah. Achieving outcomes, okay. So outcome-based education is about achieving outcomes. Okay, all right. Anyone else? Skills and knowledge they need to have when they leave the school system. Okay. All right. Outcome-based education, an education method that emphasizes the outcomes that students are meant to achieve and know how to do it. Good one. Okay. Any more? What students need to know and the best why to impart into them. Okay, that's good. Right. Some of you are onto it, getting there. Good. Okay, so let me just stop this and go back to our slides. Not too bad. Okay, so outcome-based education is actually a model, right? And it focuses on what students can actually do after they are taught. So we set a target and then we try to teach them what they're supposed to do. And we hope that after a set period of time, they are able to do what they have been taught. And this is based on the student-centered learning philosophy. So one of them, one of you just now mentioned, yeah, we are moving away from teacher-centered environment where we step aside. We become the facilitator instead of the teacher or the lecturer. We are the guide at the side, okay, instead of being taking the center stage and being the main actor. We are not the main actors. Yeah, we are just the supporting actors behind the scene, helping the students who are the main actors to do that performing. All right. So that is the student-centered learning philosophy. And it focuses on empirically measuring student performance, which we call it the outcomes. So the learning outcomes is what we expect students are able to perform at the end of a period of time. Okay, so the focus is on the learning outcomes, not on the topics. So which means to say, when we design our course, we actually think about the outcomes first. What do we want the students to achieve at the end of the course? And then only we think about what are the topics, what are the activities that we need to put into the course so that they are able to achieve the outcomes. So I know many years ago, before OBE came about, do you remember when I first started teaching, it was about getting a textbook, yeah, taking all the topics there and putting it into the COPA document, and that's what you're going to teach. So you're teaching by the topics, and when you are doing your the evaluation, your test and everything, you also go by the topic. So we no longer practice that. Instead, now we design a course thinking about what is the outcome. Okay, so it's about what is the destination, where do you want to go? Okay, where do you want to go? You want to go to Kuala Lumpur, you want to go to Singapore. Okay, that's it, put that down. Now, how are you going to get there? Okay, are you going to teach the students to drive there? Are you going to teach the students to book a flight ticket, get to the airport, to get to Kuala Lumpur or Singapore? Yeah, or are you going to teach the students to ride the bicycle there, or even maybe think about teaching the students to run or walk there? Well, if you're going to ask your student to run or walk or even cycle, there will be a lot of other things that will come into the picture, like how do you prepare for the run? How do you prepare for the ride? There must be some kind of training that the students need to do. There must be also knowledge on nutrition, on sleep, on getting enough of breaks and so on. So all this then become your topics. Okay, all right. So it is not about putting the topics. Student need to learn time management. Student need to learn how to read the map. Student need to learn how to have balanced diet. And where does that lead to? Okay, so that's the difference between knowing the learning outcomes, designing the course based on the learning outcomes, and the difference and compared to just taking a textbook, taking the topics and just teaching them according to the topics. Okay, any questions so far? I hope you understand the analogy. Yeah, you okay? Right. So what is the one most essential element in OBE? So going back to the same link just now, okay, if you didn't close, it should refresh. Just let me click to the next one. Right. So if you refresh your link just now, it should go to the next question. Or you can click on the link that I've provided to you. Teaching methods, key concepts and ideas. Okay, what else? Outcome-based education. What is the most essential element, most important element in outcome-based education? The most important thing that we need to know in this model. Someone else? Formative and summative evidences. Active learner. Ways to achieve it, okay. Teaching method. What is the starting point of outcome-based education? What do you start with? The most important, usually we start with the most important thing. What is the most important thing that we need to know in outcome-based and outcome-based education? Expert facilitator. Ooh. Curriculum. Anything else? Set an achievable goal, learning outcomes, learning outcome. Any more? You can submit more than once, yeah. Any other? Very interesting how you see it. Okay, right. So what do you think is the answer? What is the most essential element in outcome-based education? What is the one thing that you really need to know in outcome-based education? So for those who answered learning outcomes, well done. Right. Okay, the answer is learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are the key in the entire model. Remember, I said just now, when you want to start teaching a course, when you want to create a course, it is what you want the students to achieve at the end of the course. That would be the driver to the entire thing. Okay, knowing your goal, knowing where you want to go to. So going back to my analogy just now, you want to teach, your goal is to get the students to Kuala Lumpur or Singapore. Okay, that's your destination. Your students need to learn how to get from Penang to Kuala Lumpur or Penang to Singapore, up to you. Okay, say we decide Penang to Kuala Lumpur, right? So the outcome is reaching Kuala Lumpur. And how do they reach there? How would you want to teach them to get there? Maybe they have to drive, okay, to Kuala Lumpur. So that would be the outcome. You need to teach your student to be able to drive from Penang to Kuala Lumpur. So from there, you decide on the topics that you need to put into your course. Okay, and of course, you also need to know how to design your assessments. Let me ask you this question. Do you design the assessment first or do you design the content first? As in, do you design your assessment methods first, or do you design your teaching and learning activities first? Which one? Once you know your outcome, what is the next thing? Is it designing the assessment or designing the activities? You can put your answer in the chat, or you can just turn on your mic and speak. Okay, Logeswari said assess activities, but you say assessment first, then activities. Okay, the rest? Anyone else? Only 2% answer me, so the rest of you are sleeping now. Come on. Assessment activities. Alicia says assessment first. Okay. I hope I'm not boring you. Yeah. So 2% says assessment, 1% says activities. The others, not too sure. Adrian says activity. Okay, so 2 versus 2 now. 2 versus 2, come on. Some are still thinking. Assessment, activity, assessment, activity. Okay, Ashraf say assessment first, then activity. Okay, so now we have 3 versus 2. Okay, 3 versus 2. Anyone wants to vote for activity first? Or shall we say that assessment is the winner? Three versus 2? Right. Yes, assessment first, then only the activity. Although you see in the cycle, I think later on I'll be sharing with you the cycle as well. You will see that it is the learning activities, then assessment. But in actual fact, it's actually the assessment first, then only the activity. Because you need to know, how are you testing them? What are you going to test them? Then only you think about, okay, this is what I need to do in order to prepare them. So like I mentioned just now, okay, if your outcome is about teaching, students being able to drive from Penang to Kuala Lumpur, okay, and it will be them driving a car, then you will need to design an assessment that will be able to test them, okay, to check that they are able to drive from point A to point B. And what are the evidences that you can collect in that process to prove that they are able to drive from point A to point B. So knowing that they are going to drive and how you're going to collect the evidences, then only you design your activities. Your activities could be, okay, they need to know how to drive from A to B. So maybe they need to know how to read the map, okay? Maybe they need to know how to share their live location so you can track them and make sure that they are on the right track. Okay, another thing could be they need to learn how to read the signboards, yeah? Or maybe they even need to learn how to know when the car is in need of petrol. They need to learn how to put in petrol. You know, these are the things that will be your learning activities, which could be rather different. Say if your outcome, it's about them running from point A to point B, okay? And then your measurement tool could be different. But this time they're running. They're not going to use a car. So some of the things that you want to put in to collect evidences could be different. And therefore, whatever activities that you do with the students would be different. It will be preparing them to be able to run from point A to point B. Do you get the idea? about assessment coming before the activity? Okay. So far, so good. Okay. Right. Yep. Drink coffee. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Right. Okay, so the learning outcomes today. So talk about learning outcomes, right? So for our little workshop today is also with a set of learning outcomes. So the outcomes for today is, I hope that by the end of this, you'll be able to differentiate between PO, PLO, CLO, LLO. Okay, all these are terms that you will hear in the OBE model. Then I hope that you also be able to describe the 3 domains of learning. I think some of you mentioned it just now. And number 3, to be able to write appropriate learning outcomes using Bloom's taxonomy. That's the, there are a few taxonomies, but typically we use Bloom's for most of our courses, but that doesn't mean that you don't use other taxonomies. Yeah, I will share with you later on the different taxonomies. Okay, coming back here now. What is learning outcome actually? What's the definition of learning outcome? I think I've repeated it so many times, yeah. Can you answer this? In the same link, you can go back to the same link that I shared earlier. Okay, and then put your answer there. What is learning outcome? Let me go back to that screen. Okay, here you go. Those who have just joined us, I don't know whether you can see the link or not, but I will paste it again. Okay, you can just click on it directly. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes to think about your answer. The results of facilitated education. Okay. Understanding and achievement. Okay. Knowledge or skills students should acquire by the end of the course. All right, good. Good try, good try. Anyone else? We have 1 more minute. A measurable let's see. What a person would be able to learn and apply at the end. the course. The main knowledge or skills or experience that students need to understand or walk away with at the end of the session. Right, good. Well done. Okay, you have pretty good understanding of what a learning outcome is. So by definition, learning outcomes are actually statements, okay? Statements that describe what learners are able to do after a period of learning. Now, these two things are very important. Are able to do after a period of learning. So, examples, yeah, you will have upon completion of the lesson, upon completion of the workshop, upon completion of the course, upon completion of the program or something like that. Okay, there is a period of time for students to learn. And then what the students are able to do, the students will be able to explain Ohm's law. Or upon completion of the workshop, the students will be able to perform the cha-cha-cha dance. Or upon completion of the course, the students will be able to demonstrate confidence in public speaking. So it's very clear there is always a period of learning and then a statement, a part where it says what the students are able to do at the end of that period. So I think you see this in a lot of your documents, yeah? Now, what is the outcome-based education model? Just now I keep on mentioning about outcome-based education model. This is the model. So we have the assessment that sits right at the bottom of this. Okay, the assessment can be formative, can be summative. Okay, and then it goes up to the delivery. Remember just now I asked you assessment first or the teaching activities. Yeah, and then the course outcomes, the program outcomes, the program educational objectives, the school vision and mission, and then finally we are able to achieve the university vision and mission. So in terms of student attainment, it goes from bottom all the way up. So through the achievement of the little tests, quiz, projects, essays, assignments, and then the final exam, they are able to achieve the lesson learning outcome. And then from there, they are able to achieve the course learning outcome. And by accumulating the skills and knowledge, yeah, that they have achieved over a period of time, or maybe like 2 years or 3 years, depending on the programs, they are able to achieve the program outcomes, and then eventually the program educational objectives, and then the school vision, like School of Engineering, you have your vision and mission, and finally the university vision and mission. Okay, but then this is from the students' perspectives, yeah. Okay, but the perspective could be different from the university's point of view, which you will see later on. Okay, so this is from the students' perspective. That's how it goes. Do you know the difference between program outcomes and course outcomes or not? Do you know the difference between program outcomes, course outcomes? Anyone? Program outcomes, course outcomes. I know sometimes some people are confused between these two. Okay, course as in your course, like example course, it could be like BDM 1413. That is a course. But this BDM 1413 is one of the courses in the maybe Bachelor of Business Management program. So in your course, you have like BDM 1413, you have the course outcomes. Okay, but then your program, as in Bachelor of Business Management, has got a set of program outcomes. Okay, all right. You know the difference? So program outcomes and course outcomes are not the same, yeah, because I know sometimes some people, they get confused when they say course. Course could refer to a program, but in the OBE, this is how it is defined. The course is just that one course. So in a program, there could be about like 20 or 23 courses depending on the different disciplines. Okay, and then of course you have the lesson learning outcome. What is lesson learning outcomes? Anyone? Anyone? Lesson learning outcomes? That day's lecture, that's right. Okay, so typically every course we have like between 10 to 12 sessions. Okay, depending on I know some of you have 10, some of you have 11, some of you have 12. Yeah, so for each of that session, you will have lesson learning outcomes. All right, so like if today I'm going to teach my students how to use the correct what you call the correct tenses. Okay, so that would be my lesson learning outcome. But my course outcome could be students are able to write a narrative essay. So typically when we talk about narrative essay, usually we use the past tense. So my lesson learning outcome is teaching them how to use the correct tenses. But the course outcome at the end is they are able to write an essay, a narrative essay, which applies the past tense. Okay, and then this particular English course could be like ALE 1033 is a grammar course, but this is a course that is in the foundation in arts. When my foundation in arts has got a set of program outcomes. Okay, now what is program educational objectives? How is program educational objectives different from program outcomes? Anyone? Program outcomes sometimes is also known as PLO, program learning outcomes, just the same as like course outcomes. Sometimes it's called course learning outcomes. Okay. So what is the difference between program educational objectives and program learning outcomes? Anybody? Anybody wants to share? Any idea? No? So we have course outcomes, which are outcomes that students are able to demonstrate. Okay, students are able to attain at the end of the semester, the 10 weeks, 11 weeks, or the 12 weeks. So when it comes to program outcomes, is the outcomes that students are able to demonstrate at the end of the program. So like I said, the program depending. Like diploma is 2 years, degree is 3 years or sometimes 4 years for some disciplines, right? So at the end of the 2 years or the 3 years or the 4 years, students are able to demonstrate, okay, that program outcomes. However, program educational objectives are what students are able to demonstrate 3 to 5 years later after they graduated. Okay, 3 to 5 years after they have graduated. Remember, our goal here is to produce students who are able to thrive in the society, okay, to be ready for the workplace, to be ready for the world. So we don't want students to be just ready after they graduate. Okay, yeah, they can do the work, but can they, after that, on their own, continue to stay in their area of expertise and to grow from there? I'm sure you have a lot of students who graduate, maybe say graduate in a degree in hospitality, management, but 2 years down the road, this student end up becoming an insurance agent. Do you think you have achieved, or the students have achieved, the program educational objectives then? Yes or no? So your student graduated in degree in hospitality management, but then 2 years down the road, your student is selling insurance. Is the program educational objectives achieved? Yes? No? Anyone? No. Yeah. No. So there are a lot of times we manage to achieve the program outcomes, but we may not 100% achieve the program educational objectives. Yeah. Yes, you're right, Adrian. Still, at least the student has a job. But from the OBE perspective, yeah, the purpose of us providing the education is so that students are able to thrive, okay, in this particular discipline that they graduated, and to continue in this discipline well and after they graduate, and to become to grow and to become better and an expert in that particular field. If our program, okay, is not able to serve that purpose, yes, we may be able to generate students, graduating students or graduates with that degree, but then 2 to 3 years down the road, or 5 years or 6 years, they are not really doing the job that they are supposed to do with their academic qualification, but instead do something else. So for the stakeholders, when I say stakeholders, means the university and also the community, the society, the employers outside, yeah, then we need to think about it. Is our program relevant? Are we able to what you call meet the demands of the market? If the program that we are trying to deliver is something that students cannot seem to use and progress in his or her life, then there must be something wrong with the program, because we are not able to help the students to get a job in that discipline. Okay, that's why you see here in this model, it is, it goes up all the way to the university vision and mission. If the program educational objectives is not really achieved, then it actually it does not contribute to the university vision and mission. Do you know what is our vision and mission? If you're not sure, you can go to the website. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, we hope to deliver transformative learning education for our students so that they are able to, you know, thrive in the society. I may not be saying in the exact same words, but you can go to the website to read it. So if you are not able to do that, that's when we will need to think about what we are delivering in our program, what we are teaching our students, what our students are able to do at the end of it may not be enough to serve what the market needs. Thank you, Bai. Okay. So you see all this, it falls into that model and how it can cascade all the way down and affect your delivery and your planning. Okay. So let's look at these 4 stages in OBE. I'm pretty sure you have looked at this thing before, yeah. I think you've seen it somewhere. Maybe Gabriel has shown you also last week. So we start with number 1. What are the LOs, as in the learning outcomes we intend for the students? Okay, that's where we do our planning. Okay, and then the second stage is how to best help students to achieve the outcomes. This is where we think about our teaching and learning activities in class and also out of class. And then third one, how do we know outcomes are achieved? This is where we do the assessment. And lastly, how to close the loop. You will do some kind of evaluation and continuous quality improvement. You will do check and balance. So this is where you will do reflection. You will look at the assessment reports. You will go to the industry to talk to the people. You have also your advisory board for some of your programs. You talk to them and see what's happening. Are our students able to meet the demands of the future employers and so on? And then it goes back to, are your LOs intended for the students clear enough to help them to achieve what they need to achieve so that they can meet the demands of the society? Okay, so it goes round and round and round and round in cycle like this. Yeah. And today we are mainly focusing on the planning. The planning is the most important. Do you agree? Agree or not? Planning is the most important. I know some do not subscribe to this. I've known of many lecturers who say that no need to plan, just go to the class and just blah blah blah, you know. Because sometimes what you plan, you cannot achieve it. You cannot manage to do it. But then I always believe in planning. Yes, plans can change. Circumstances sometimes will force us to change. But without a plan, you'll be going nowhere. Okay? We can change our plans, yes. But do we change our goals? Do we change our goals? We can constantly change our plans due to circumstances that arise. But do we constantly change our goals? No, right? Okay, you don't always change your goal, yeah? Okay, you cannot say, okay, first you say can reach your goal in 1 year. After 1 year, cannot reach, or halfway 8 months cannot reach. Then after that, you put your goal nearer. Cannot move the goalpost, right? But you can plan and think about a more strategic way to reach it. Okay, goal is still the same. Yeah, the outcome must still be achieved. But you got to think about how you're going to achieve it. Okay, so the planning is very important. The planning is very important, yeah. Okay, so when you do your planning, you need to know your outcomes very clearly. You need to be able to define and write your goal very clearly. So it's similar to what I told you just now. You want to teach your students, you want not to teach your students, you want your students to be able to drive from Penang to Kuala Lumpur. Sometimes you've got to be very specific. Drive to Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur is so big. Which part of Kuala Lumpur? Okay, which part of it? Is it drive to city center where they can see KLCC? Yeah, or is driving just reach the highway? Federal highway is considered okay already and stop in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, does it mean that they have achieved the goal already? So you got to be very careful when you write your intended learning outcomes for the students. So able to do what is about how you wish to transform the students moving from point A to point B. At the end of that period of learning, you want your students to be able to do what? You can say they can demonstrate what kind of level of knowledge. That would be about the cognitive, okay? Or it can be demonstrating some type of skills. So this is very relevant to maybe Siti, like she is doing bakery, doing pastries and all that. So there's a kind of skills that able to make croissant. Croissant has got a shape, yeah. So it has to be that kind of skill that can make that kind of shape. So that is the psychomotor skills, or exhibit some sort of behavior or attitude which shows your emotion, your affective. Of all these types, the most commonly used is the cognitive and psychomotor. These two are the so-called easiest to be demonstrated and to be measured. The last one, it's the most difficult, affective, because it involves your feelings. Okay, something that it's very subjective and it's of course hard to measure. So only some courses are able to to achieve this, and you will see this a lot in the MPU courses, the compulsory courses. Okay, one of it is the teamwork and community and global social responsibilities. Yeah. Okay. So the OBE approach is when you are designing a new program, the first thing that you need to do is to think about what are the learning outcomes. What do you want the students to be able to do when they graduate? Then only you think about the courses, or rather the course learning outcomes they need to help achieve that program learning outcomes. Okay, so it's always the learning outcomes that come first. So what is the most essential thing in OBE? It is the learning outcomes. It drives everything in your program. So the different levels of outcomes I've explained just now to you, when they are able to do upon graduation, that's the program learning outcomes or program outcomes. What they are able to do at the end of the course or the semester is called the CLO, course learning outcomes. And what they are able to do at the end of your lesson or your lecture or that particular week of learning will be your lesson learning outcome. Or sometimes some people use topic learning outcomes. But I do try to avoid the word topic learning outcomes because, like I said, in OBE, it's really not about the topics, it's about your lesson, okay, that you do for the students. So sometimes in one lesson, there could be more than one topic that you might be sharing that is to help them to achieve the outcomes, okay? Right, so in terms of the domains, yeah, the different areas that are in the MQF, the Malaysian qualifications framework. We have 8 domains. Now this is the 1.0. I'm just showing it you here for you to be aware that we have the first generation, okay, that we do not use anymore. So if any of your documents are still using this, then you need to update to this. This is the newest one, which is not really new anymore. It's since 2000, I think 2018 or 19. I can't remember. I think 18 or 19. Yeah. So these are the 8 domains. It's actually quite similar to the old one, just that the way they categorize it is a bit different. So there are 8 domains. 1 is knowledge and understanding. 2 is cognitive skills. 3 practical skills. 4 interpersonal and communication. 5 is the digital and numeracy. 6 leadership, autonomy and responsibility. 7 is personal and entrepreneurial skills, and 8 is ethics and professionalism. A lot of times people get confused between the 1 and 2. Knowledge and understanding and cognitive. Do you know the difference between knowledge, understanding and cognitive? You know the difference between these two? They are not the same, yeah? So knowledge and understanding is just your way of comprehending facts or ideas or principles or concepts, okay? But the cognitive skills is your ability to apply, to think about the things, the ideas, the facts, you know, how you can link all these ideas together to form some kind of knowledge or to demonstrate a kind of skill. Okay, so when it comes to cognitive skills, is the application. Yes, but that's right, application. Yeah, okay. So knowledge and understanding is just a very low level one where you just, okay, I know this, okay, I know this. But cognitive is your ability to think about things that you know and to produce it. Okay, yeah, right, yeah. So in my terms, in my discipline, it will be like, if it's knowledge and skills, it's just like, okay, I know I must use present tense when I see the word every day. When I see the word yesterday, I know that I should use a past tense and all. But the cognitive part of it is like, you know how to produce an essay. You write a story about what you did yesterday, and when you talk about it, you actually can apply all the past tense in it. Okay, so that's the cognitive part of it, yeah, the application. Right. Okay, so I've mentioned this just now. I asked you what is program educational objectives and program learning outcomes. What's the difference, right? And I talked about it a little bit just now. So this is what it looks like, yeah, here. You see on the screen here, it's a visual of how the PO, and CO comes together. So you have your courses here, which at the end of the semester, you will be able to achieve the course learning outcomes here. So by the end of that 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years program, you will be able to have this set of program learning outcomes. You're able to do this. But upon 3 to 5 years after graduation, are you still able to do what you're supposed to do? So for every program, there is a set of PEOs and PLOs. If you are not sure, do find out from your program leader or your head of department or your head of school. It's important for you as a lecturer also to be aware of the program learning outcomes and the program educational objectives. You don't need to remember it, but you have to be aware of it so that you know whether the course that you're teaching it's able to help you go towards that or not. You know, we have such thing called curriculum review, program committee reviews, all these things. These are the meetings or the discussions that you should be having with your peers regarding the novelty of your course, okay, or the relevance of your course in helping students to achieve the PLO and PEO. If you see that the course that you're teaching is no longer relevant, or the content is partially irrelevant or not aligned to the PLO and PEO, you should propose for change. Because like I mentioned, all these little courses, yeah, each and every one of you are responsible to teach, will all be put together to help the students to achieve the bigger picture, which is the academic qualification at the end. But if the small little pieces are not able to support the entire thing, then you find that your students become irrelevant. And over time, you find that students are not coming in anymore for the program. And then later, the program will slowly just have a very silent death. Okay, which is something that we don't want it to happen. We want to keep moving with the currency, with things that are changing in terms of technology. It has changed every one of us, every discipline we are affected. So it's good to be aware of the PEO and PLOs, and then look at your course and see, is it relevant? Is it aligned? Okay, always have discussions with your colleagues so that you know what you're delivering is actually helping the students achieve the PLOs or not, right? Okay. So these are some examples. Yeah, I'm just showing you the PEOs of some programs. This is by Wayne State University. So you see is to produce graduates who attain gainful employment and practice successfully in mechanical related engineering technology professions. So PEO2, to produce graduates who remain technically current and adapt to rapidly changing technologies to continuous learning and self-improvement. So it is not just producing the graduate and then that's it. We want to be able to produce graduate who can continuously, learn, to stay updated, to be independent, so that they can continue to thrive in the changing environment and to the needs of the workplace. Okay, so that is the PEO. So another one for mechanical engineering. This is University of Malaya. Yeah, so again, you see graduates who engage in lifelong pursuit of knowledge and interdisciplinary learning appropriate for industrial and academic careers. Okay, be it they are in the industry or like Ashraf here, it's in the academic career. Yeah, okay. Right, in terms of program learning outcomes, like I mentioned, it must support the program educational objectives. Okay, so usually every program you will have about 6 to 10 program outcomes, generally lesser for foundation, because foundation is not exactly like you prepare the students to go out and work. Yeah, so you're just preparing the students to be able to get into get into the degree program. Okay, so have a look, yeah, so that you know what is it. But the good practice is we always suggest that you create 8 program learning outcomes that matches that 8 domains that I showed you earlier. But there are some programs where they have 10 or 11 and so on. But easiest it would be just to match to the 8. Okay, so this is for a design program. At the end of this program, so you see it's very different from the PEO. PEO is like after they graduate and after how many years they're able to stay, in the current industry. But this is just at the end of the program. Students are able to apply and demonstrate design knowledge and skills in creative media design projects. Okay, at the end of this program, students will be able to relate and discuss the latest trends, techniques through their research and projects. Okay, my next question. Who determines the learning outcomes? Anyone? Who should decide? Anyone? No one? Too shy to answer? Never mind. I give you time to think about it. Who determines the learning outcomes? Or maybe you want to walk around to go and ask your colleagues, or ask your PL, or ask your head. Who determines the learning outcomes? When you come, when you join us, you have the COPA document, there are learning outcomes already. There are program learning outcomes also, program educational objectives also written there. Who wrote it? Who decides? Is it you? Is it me? Okay, so we shall take a break here now, 15 minutes, okay? And then you come back and you tell me your answer, okay? You have 15 minutes to go and find your answer. All right? So it's 10:30 now. I'll see you back here at 10:45. Okay. See you again later. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. You ready? Okay. So who determines the learning outcomes? Did you manage to find the answer? Does anybody want to share? Anybody? Don't be shy. If you don't want to turn on your mic, you can just type in the chat. Who do you think determines the learning outcomes? The subject expert, facilitator, okay, maybe. Who else? Who else is involved in this process of determining the learning outcomes? Anybody had any experience in writing the learning outcomes or part of the team in writing the learning outcomes? How do you write it? The lecturer, okay, Jihan says lecturer, industry expert, ADH, okay. Who else is involved in this whole thing? So like I mentioned just now earlier, for your programs, you do have the advisory board, right? So usually you have meetings at least once a year with the advisory board members, and you will have some discussions on what's happening in the industry, what are the changes, what are the recent demands, what are the quality of the recent graduates, are they able to meet the needs of the industry. So from this, you actually get feedback, and this feedback will be some input for us when we write our learning outcomes. Okay, yes, as the subject expert, you should be up to date with what's happening in your area, okay, so that you can also provide your input. Your learning outcomes can also be determined from talking to your students, talking to your recent graduates, your students, okay? What are they experiencing? When they graduate, are they able to meet the demands of the potential employer or not? So all these kind of inputs that you gather will help you to determine the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes is not determined by one person, but by a team of people with the input from various stakeholders. And you, as the subject expert, should be part of the team to decide on the learning outcome. Although you shouldn't be the only person, okay, but you should be part of the team to decide on the learning outcome. Definitely the ADH and the program leader and the head of school is also involved in the process. Yeah. Okay. So it's not only you, but your entire team with input from your stakeholders, be it the industry panels, be it future employers, or even your students or your graduates. Okay, so once the PLOs are determined already, now we need to think about the curriculum or the courses. So you determine the PLO first, then only you think about the curriculum. What should we have in this program? What are the courses that we must have in this program in order to achieve that set of program learning outcomes? Okay, once you have the courses already, then only you decide what are the learning outcomes in each of this course. Yeah, so you don't start by deciding what you would like to teach. Okay, not about what you would like to teach, what course you want to teach. It's not about that. I think as we all know, especially with people like Sheila, yeah, you have been in the industry for so long, you will know that things have changed a lot, right, Malini? Yeah, you have also been teaching for so many years. Things have changed so much. Whatever that you learned in university, you can't actually take 100% and just dump it on your student and teach them the same thing. It does not apply anymore, right? Students will find that whatever you have learned, all those like if you are teaching programming, you know, computing, whatever programming language that you learn, it's probably no longer relevant to what is happening now. Students want to learn Python, right? So I'm not sure whether maybe those days when you were in university, you were learning C or C+. I think some programs are still, some students are still learning the C and the C+, right? Because that's the, I understand that's the basic of the programming languages. But things are going so fast that people want to learn Python already, okay? So you have your student here, yeah, in the picture. And then you have your program outcomes, which is upon graduation. Yeah, remember, upon graduation. So these on top here are different things or bodies that help you to decide on your outcomes. Okay, remember you have your MQF, that 8 domains. I told you just now that whenever we write program outcomes, we try to write for each domain 1 at least. Okay, and then you also have your external stakeholders, okay, and their needs. So your stakeholders can be, like I said, the future employers and also your graduates. Yeah. Then for some, like engineering or architecture, you have your professional bodies. Nursing, also you have your professional bodies that you need to also seek them for input as well. And of course, not forgetting the faculty expertise, which is you. And also our institution vision and mission. It must be aligned. I gave you that pyramid just now. So with all this, after all this consideration, you will then have your set of outcomes, and you have still your student here. How are you going to get your student from this point to up here? The program outcomes is knowing what are the courses that you need to design to help the students get there, and then knowing what are the lesson outcomes for each of these courses. And from there, your student will be able to attain the program outcomes when they graduate, right? So the course learning outcomes, yeah. In this second half of the session, we are going to talk about outcomes and how slowly moving to how you're going to write measurable learning outcomes. So you have to have this statement upon completion of what? Yeah, it can be the course, can be the lesson, can be the workshop or whatever. the student is able to. And then for each course, we usually have 3 to 5 course learning outcomes. I understand for UG, you had your pematuhan, right? Audit pematuhan. And I believe you have already tidied up a lot of your courses to ensure that there are 3 to 5 course learning outcomes. I know in those days, we used to have like 10 or 12 so-called course learning outcomes. But if you look at it, yeah, if you have courses like that, those 10 to 12 so-called course learning outcomes, some of them are actually lesson learning outcomes. It's not the course learning outcomes. Course learning outcomes should limit to 3 to maximum 5. It shouldn't be so many because you remember your students have so many courses. Okay, if you have 20 courses, 20 times 5 is already 100. That's actually a lot, yeah. Okay. Make sure that it is coherent. Yeah, it's a coherent set that captures the essential outcomes of the course. And each of this course learning outcome that you write should be distinct. It should be different from the other one. There shouldn't be any overlap in any of the course learning outcomes. Okay, you don't have example like I mentioned just now, from my field, yeah, if I'm talking from my field is let's say teaching grammar. We don't have course learning outcomes like at the end of the course, students should be able to use the present tense. At the end of the course, students should be able to use the past tense. You know, these are considered lesson learning outcomes. Okay, they are kind of like overlap. For you to be able to know how to use the past tense and the present tense is actually interrelated. Your knowledge and skill is interrelated. So all you need to write is students should be able to use suitable tenses for suitable situations. You don't need to write for each one of it. If you do that for each one, you will end up with too many course outcomes. Okay. And remember, it must be measurable. It must be measurable. Okay, you must be able to get students to show it to you that they can do it. There must be an assessment that can help you to collect evidence to show that the students have attained it. Okay, so if you write if you write outcomes like at the end of the course, students will know how to speak in public. Will know is like know how to will know how to speak. Know is very subjective. How would you define know? Okay, so if you were to say like to know how to speak, right? If you were to say one sentence, it's also considered you know how to speak. Yeah. If you say if you were to respond to somebody's question, that is also you know how to speak. Yeah. But it is not how to say, you cannot really there is no specificity in how you going to measure it. How do you classify if a student know and don't know something? Okay, I will show you examples afterwards to let you see what is the difference between measurable and not measurable. So the levels must be specified. Okay, the outcomes must be able to assess. So all these course outcomes, like I said, will contribute to, at the end, the attainment of the entire program outcomes as it's shown here. So it's important as teachers, we must know the course learning outcomes because that is the driver for not only us, but also for the students. The students need to know what they need to achieve at the end of the semester. And I always give this analogy where you as a teacher, we could be the one driving the bus, okay, and taking them for a tour. We need to tell them at the end of this tour where we will end up, okay? We are going to Kuala Lumpur, okay? So Kuala Lumpur is, like I said just now, so big, Kuala Lumpur. Which part of Kuala Lumpur? The student must be aware, okay, go to Kuala Lumpur, we need to see KLCC, the Petronas Twin Towers, yeah? So the student must be aware of it, that they must see Petronas Twin Towers. Okay, this CLO thing is not just for us to know, it's important for the students to know. Because at the end of it, right, the students are the one who will achieve it, yeah? So if you take the students to Kuala Lumpur, they are not aware that they need to see the Petronas Twin Tower. They might reach Kuala Lumpur and thought that that's the end of it, okay? But at the end of it, whether they know what Petronas Twin Tower is or not, how does it look like? If they don't know that they're supposed to look out for Petronas Twin Tower, they wouldn't know that, oh, actually it's a twin tower, okay, with a bridge in the middle. They thought that, okay, I'm in KL, so that's it. Or you could have students who, you know, as you are taking them to KL on the way, you will have your rest stops, right? And this student will rest, okay? And then maybe after that, sesat jalan and didn't come back on the bus with you and don't even know that sesat already, because they don't know that they are heading to KL to see KLCC, okay? Or they could be, like I said, they reach KL, but their back is facing the towers and they did not see the tower. So they don't even know whether they achieve or not. They don't even know whether they are there already or not. So it's important for us to be aware, but it's even more important for the students to be aware, so that when they reach that destination and they're supposed to be able to see something that you told them to look out for, and they don't see it, they will know to come and ask you, sir or miss, I don't see it. Where is it? Because if they don't know that that is what they're supposed to see, they don't know. They don't know that they are lost. Okay, and then suddenly, when it comes to the assessment, they are being tested, they don't know what to do, because they didn't know that they're supposed to look at the Twin Tower and they're supposed to be able to write about the Twin Tower or describe about the Twin Tower. Okay, so it's important not only for us to know as the teacher, but it's also important for the students to know, yeah? Okay, so let's look at writing learning outcomes now. Which PLO does the course map to? Like I mentioned just now, you need to know, although you don't need to remember them, but you need to know what is it. And what do you want the students to be able to do upon completion of that course you're assigned to? So it's important to know at the program level and also the course level. Then you have this thing called MQA document. Sometimes it's called the COPA document. Sometimes it's called the table 4. And in this document, you have your course learning outcomes. Do you know what document I'm talking about? Do you need me to show an example? Yes, no, no, yes. Do you know what document I'm talking about? You see the dog every semester. The rest of you? Okay. Okay, let me share, yeah. Okay, let me share, okay. Right. So I think some of you are new, so I will share with you. Can you still hear me? Or does it say that my mic? Can you still hear me, right? Okay. Yes, Ken. There is another document called course outline, and that's the document that we give to the students and also for yourself as a reference. And yes, it is based on the MQA document or the COPA or the table 4. This is what you see here as the table 4. Yes, it must be the same 100%. Cannot have any difference at all. But this is the main document. Okay, like this. This is the main document. And this document, you cannot simply go and change. Not saying that you cannot change, yeah, but you cannot simply go and change. You can make changes, but whatever changes that you want to make to this master copy has to go through the program committee. So if you think that, you think that example, you think that this course learning outcome is not correct, yeah, so you can propose to the program committee. Each one of you will have your program committee, your curriculum review board, to say that this course learning outcome is not suitable, or this is outdated or whatever. Give your justification, and then if the board members approve, then you can make the changes. But on your own, you cannot suka hati every semester you go and change. Okay, so in this course, in this MQA document, you will have the course learning outcome stated here already, with all the taxonomy and how it relates to which PLO. So here you see this one has got EPLO1. This course learning outcome is aligned to PLO1. This is for the foundation program. So you will have to then look at the foundation program. There is a set of PLO. Okay, so with this, you will also have the course learning outcomes and what kind of teaching methods that you're using and what kind of assessment methods that you're using to measure this course learning outcome. Okay, and of course you have your topics and your SLT. SLT means student learning time. So in this document here, you will have face-to-face, okay, physical, and non-face-to-face, where the students are learning on their own, called independent learning. Means those activities that you put in open learning that they learn on their own. Okay, asynchronous activity. I'm sure you're very familiar with synchronous and asynchronous term already. Yeah. So this is for this particular course, it's only 2 hours physical. This is only tutorial. There is no lecture and anything. This is an English course. Usually for English courses, we don't really have lecture. We don't lecture so much. It's more to tutorial and letting them practice their work. Yeah. So you see this one is tutorial 2 hours. There is no lecture. We don't do any online synchronous for this particular course, and it's independent learning, asynchronous with activities in open learning. Okay. Then this is the total student learning time for the teaching and learning part. Then you will have the assessment, where you have the continuous and also the final, right? So again, your continuous assessment, you have the face-to-face and non-face-to-face. So example, quiz is 15%, physical 1 hour, and students are expected to do their revision and learning on their own for 1 hour to prepare for this. So assignment is 20%, Assignment is just submission to the lecturer, so there is no physical or online, whatever. So it's just them doing the work on their own, and students are expected to spend 3 hours on doing the assignment for submission. Okay, then this is the final assessment. It's, you see here is broken down. The reason you see is broken down because this final exam, if you look back up here, yeah. This final exam here measures different course learning outcome. So we have 3 sections. Section A measures CLO1. CLO1 is what? Yeah, parts of speech. Okay. Then CLO2, which is on tenses, okay, is in section B. And then section C is sentences. So because of the different CLOs that are being tested in the final exam, that's why it's being divided into different sections. The reason this is done is so that every time when you finish a semester, you have to also submit the OBE sheet, right? Are you aware of the OBE sheet? You know the OBE sheet, the one that tells you how many % of the CLO achieve or not achieve, right? Where you need to report in your end of semester report. Which should appear for UG, it should appear in your GIR also, right? Okay, so because we need to be accurate in measuring the achievement of our CLOs, that is why you see for this particular course, the final exam is divided in this way so that we can measure the CLOs more accurately. If your final exam is only testing on one CLO, example, yeah, if this particular course, the final exam only tests on them on this one, CLO3, creating complex and compound sentences, then this one will only have one. Sorry, this one only have one. Okay, so it's important that you're aware whether your final exam it's testing how many CLOs. If you're testing more than one CLOs, you need to split it so that when you report the measurement of your CLO achievement, it will be more accurate. Yeah, okay. Then at the end of this document, you will also have your references. Okay, similarly, like I mentioned just now, if you want to do any revision to the CLO or the topics, you need to go through the program committee. So if you want to update the references, you have to also propose the updates to the program committee or the curriculum review board to make the changes, and then subsequently to ensure that the library has got the book by making the book requisition. Okay, right? So it is from this document that you create your course outline, which you have to put in open learning also, right, for your students. Yeah. Okay. Go back to the slides. Okay. So a learning outcome. Remember what is a learning outcome? What did I mention earlier? What is the definition of a learning outcome? Two things that must be in it. What is it? Anyone? Okay, right. Thank you, Adrian. Yes. Okay. So it's a statement that describes clearly what learners are able to do after a period of learning. Okay, so these two things, able to do what, and there must be a period of learning that you put into it. So these are some examples. Upon completion of the course, the students will be able to bake a chocolate cake. Upon completion of the lesson, the students will be able to explain how the human heart functions. and the other two I have shown earlier. So they must always have these two elements, yeah. You can describe the period of learning as in after a lecture, a lab, or a workshop, and that would be your lesson learning outcome. After completing a semester, what is it called? After completing a semester, what do you call that learning outcome? Anyone? What's the meaning of learning? No, what's the name of the outcome? After a lecture, a lab, or a workshop, we call it a lesson learning outcome. So after completing a semester, we call it a course learning outcome. Thank you. That's right, CLO. Right, good. And upon graduation? Upon graduation is PLO, program learning outcome. That's right. Okay, then what is PEO, program educational objectives? What is PEO? Can you remember? PEO, program educational objectives. What is PEO? Anybody? PEO, program educational objectives. After how long? Nobody can remember. Yes, but E. So how long would that, what is that period? How long would it be? No, it's 3 to 5 years. No, if it's depending on the qualification, that would be upon graduation. That's the program learning outcome. Okay. Depending on the qualification, that's the program learning outcome. That is upon graduation. The PEO is the program educational objectives, which is 3 to 5 years after graduation. Whether they still stay relevant in the same field or the same discipline or not. Yeah, 3 to 5 years after they graduate, are they still working in the nursing industry, or instead doing what? Doing insurance or doing unit trust? I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, I have a lot of students actually who are like that, you know. They did culinary arts, and then after that they decided that they feel that they cannot work in a restaurant, and they don't want to start their own business as well. So they end up becoming a tuition teacher. Okay, so that is program educational objectives. All right, program educational objectives is very important also, because if your program educational objectives is not achieved, the sustainability of your program is at stake. right? That is why it's very important that we constantly look at our curriculum to make sure that it stays relevant with the needs of the market. Okay, because if we don't stay relevant with the needs of the market, then we are not preparing our learners to stay relevant in the market. And then over time, that's when your student number may drop because the program becomes irrelevant. Okay, all right. So all these are all very important. Yeah, you may not see it in the short term, okay, but in the long term, is very important. Okay, able to do what? Yeah. So you need to describe the kind and level, the kind or level of knowledge. Can you remember what are we looking at when we say demonstrate? What kind or level of knowledge are we talking about? Are we talking about cognitive or psychomotor or affective? What kind or level of knowledge? Yes, it's cognitive. And when we talk about what type of skills, what is it? Type of skills, what are we looking at? Psychomotor. And the last one is what sort of behavior or attitude? We call it affective. Okay, affective. So the three domains of learning are cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. Okay, I will just skip this, yeah. So these are the three domains. So cognitive is where we encourage students to think, okay, using their thinking ability to solve problems methodically. Yeah, so it's about thinking, about problem solving using their brains, yeah. Whereas affective skills here, let's look at psychomotor here first, yeah, it's about their physical ability. So this has very much got to do with culinary and also to some extent nursing as well, in terms of how you administer some of the drugs and so on, yeah. Okay, affective is where you look at the personal, internal, interpersonal development, their emotions, yeah. Affective is always to do with their emotions. So we want students to be, of course, confident of themselves, to be able to communicate and interact with their peers as well as people above and below them. Okay, to be able to show humanity and to have dignity and all for themselves and also for others. Now, how about their taxonomies? Cognitive, all of you know very well what is the taxonomy that we use for cognitive. What do we use for cognitive? How do we measure? Yes, using Bloom's, right? So typically for cognitive, we talk about the brain, okay, the mind. We use the Bloom's taxonomy. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with it. For the psychomotor, when we talk about their physical skills, we use the Simpson's taxonomy. And lastly, for affective, in terms of their feelings, we use the Krathwohl's taxonomy. Okay, so Bloom's taxonomy look very familiar to you, right? I hope you also, when you use this, be careful that Bloom's has got a reverse sequence here for the 5th and 6th level. So this is the one that you are supposed to use, yeah, where it starts with remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. What do we want our students to have the most in terms of this here? What is our aim for our students? Do we aim for our students to remember, to understand, to apply, to analyze, evaluate, or create? Which one? Is there any particular level more supreme than the other? What do you think? Anyone? Do we aim to just teach our students to be able to create, and just forget about the others? Yes, no? Anybody? So quiet today, Friday morning. Can turn on your mic and speak to me, yeah, so that I'm not just talking alone. Adrian says, doesn't that depend on the student level, degree, diploma, MBA? Yes, it is. It does relate to the program level. That's right. Okay. Usually for foundation programs, we will find that the most we will go to is only evaluate or even analyze. Okay. And you will, when you look across all the courses in the foundation program, most of them will be remember, understand, apply. Only some courses you will have to analyze and the evaluate, just a few. But when you go to diploma, then you will have more apply, analyze, okay, rather than remember and understand. You will then start to have some create. Then when you move to the degree level, you will definitely expect more analyze, evaluate, create, and very few remember, understand, apply. And even when you go up to the postgrad, that's when we don't want to see any more of you remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, but instead focus is really to create, and sometimes you also have evaluate. Okay. Of course, ideally, we want our student to be able to achieve the peak, yeah, which is to create. But that doesn't mean that whatever at the bottom is useless. Okay. Remember, it's a pyramid. It's the foundation that is important to help build our students to be able to reach the top. So do not just think that this remember, understand, you know, it's menial, yeah, not necessary, okay? But without this remember to understand, students will not be able to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, okay? The foundation must be strong. They must begin by being able to recall what they have learned, okay? And then only able to explain to demonstrate their understanding. When they're able to explain, then you move on to them being able to use those kind of information or ideas in new situations. Okay, and then from there, they will be able to analyze and then evaluate and finally create. Okay, although we hope students to achieve the higher order thinking, okay, which is the top 3, we must not forget that the bottom 3, the low order thinking skills, are just as important. All right, okay, but we have to realize that what we are doing should be going this way up. Yeah, okay, you should be able to build the students from bottom all the way up. So in terms of the writing of the learning outcomes, the words that we use are very important. Okay, the words that we use. And this is something that MQA always like to harp on us, and we have all the panels, especially some panels which are really, really, fussy. They will be very specific about the words that you use. It's not just about them being fussy or what, but because the word choice, yeah, that you use will decide what you want the students to do. Okay, imagine if you want the students to be able to example, to be able to compare, okay, then you must be using some of these activities as your teaching and learning activity or as part of your assessment. Okay, if you write an LO that says that you want the students to be able to compare, but then in terms of your assessment and your teaching and learning activities, you are just giving them maybe a piece of writing that you expect them to do, that and the question that is written for the essay that they are supposed to do is basically just asking them to explain X and Y, but it is not asking them to compare X and Y, which is better, which is what are the advantages, that disadvantages, but mainly it's just telling them to tell you what is X and Y. Okay, so it's the same as if you're expecting your students to design something, okay, but instead your assessment is just asking them to conduct a presentation, right? Then you may not be giving the correct measurement tool. So that is why sometimes MQA can be very sticky when it comes to the words that you use in your course learning outcomes, and then the assessment that you conduct may not be aligned, and that's when they will start to question. Okay, so be very careful with the words, the action verbs that you use in your learning outcomes when you think about what you want your students to do, and then when you match it with the assessment that you want your students to do to demonstrate their achievement. Okay, this is just one example here. There are many examples online that you can take, but be very careful. Always cross-check your sources, yeah, and make sure you are taking from one that is reliable. Okay, right. This is also another one that I like to use. I know it's a bit small, but I will send you the slides afterwards, yeah. Okay, then you can look at it, or you can also go and download this Bloom's Taxonomy Teacher Planning Kit. I really like this one because it has got the questions that you would use for that particular, for that particular learning outcome you aim. Okay, so that it helps you to do your assessment questions. Yeah, so you can also refer to this as one of your resources. This is given by MQA long time ago, but it's still quite relevant, and it's something that you can always refer to also. It's just that take note of the sequence here. Remember, I told you this cognitive domain, this Bloom's one. This is the old version. The new version is the one that is remember, understand, apply, analyze, where they use the action verb. And this is actually evaluate. C5 is evaluate. C6 is the create. So basically, you just swap this thing over here. Okay, but it's good in a sense that it gives you ideas of what kind of things you would like your students to do for them to demonstrate this kind of action verbs that you write. Okay. So for psychomotor, this is the one that we use. Anybody familiar with psychomotor? Psychomotor domain. Nobody use psychomotor? Cannot be, right? There should be some of you using that. Yeah, maybe not for all courses, yeah, just a few of your courses in your program that you will use psychomotor. So for psychomotor domain, you have perception, you have set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. It's pretty much the same as Bloom's taxonomy. As you start with the perception, the understanding, slowly you move to the the application of it, and then slowly you try to analyze the thing, and then you try to evaluate and adapt the thing, and then where you start to create your own thing. This is constructing the origination. You use that, Bai, yeah? Okay, good. Right. So this is cycle, and this is affective, which I think not many of you using, yeah? So for affective, like I said, is to do with your emotions or your interpersonal growth, receiving phenomena, responding to phenomena, valuing, organizing values, and internalizing values. This is the most difficult, the internalizing values, where it's in that person already, you know, which we hope to build good values in each person in the society. Yeah, to be example, to be, you know, conscious of rubbish that you shouldn't throw here and there, so much so that it's internalized in a person, where the person can actually, after eating, they know how to keep away the food and then put it into the bin, wipe the table clean, which is something that we don't really see in Malaysia, right? But if you go to the Japanese community, the society, they are all very well trained. That is like they have the internalized values already. Okay, that's the affective domain, which we are trying to achieve through some of our MPU courses. Okay, so okay, your communication, sociology, and psychology, you use the affective domain. That's good. Anyone else using the affective domain? I think for nursing, because you need to have that kind of the value and the personality. That's why it's also important to build your students in this. Yeah. Okay. Right. So when you want to write your learning outcomes, you should always consider the 8 MQA domains. Okay. What does it cover? Are you looking at knowledge base or skill base? Because that will then decide your domain that you're using. Okay. Then think about also the level of understanding of performance that you want your students to achieve. So for example, the one that you are most familiar with is Bloom's. You have that one I said just now, yeah, the different levels. And then what content or topic the work is meant to address. What does it mean by using that word, which I've shown you just now? When you mean to ask them to explain, what do you mean by asking them to explain? Okay, what are the expected assessments that you want them to do so that you can see that they know how to explain? Okay, when you mean that you want them to create, what you want them to create? Okay, is it a project? Is it a prototype, or what is it that you want? Okay, and of course the context of the discipline, yeah, is very important. So each one of us, we have our different disciplines. So as you see, Bai shared there just now also, for her discipline is nursing. There is a set of like quite typical things that you will see. For us in language is a lot of cognitive, okay, because it really involves the thinking and everything. For culinary arts, perhaps it's a lot of the psychomotor. So you have to look at the psychomotor domains more. For business, I think it should be a lot of cognitive, yeah. It's all about thinking and how you look at the business environment, right? Okay. And engineering, I think it depends. It could be a lot of cognitive, but maybe for the diploma, could be a lot of psychomotor also, where you deal with the machines and all, right? Okay. So be very aware of what your discipline is all about. Okay. So your CLO, when you write it, you need to think about what usable or useful expertise your students should be able to perform and what particular topic is important for it so that you can decide what level to teach. Then the part on how to teach, what activities and how to assess will come after that, after you write the CLO. So every learning outcome should have three things. Okay, the three most important things is the action verb, which I showed you just now. Your action verb must be very clear. Okay. Second one is the condition. In what context should this outcome be shown, be demonstrated, be performed? So here in the context of that, you see, yeah, search information on the internet. You cannot just search information on the internet full stop. So many different kind of search engines or method of searching information, right? Now search information on the internet can also be using ChatGPT also, right? So you need to be specific about the condition. So here you are saying that it's using Google search, or you put down as write a report. What kind of report? Okay, how should your report look like? In what kind of condition? It should be using Harvard or APA or whatever style that you define. Number three, it's the standard. What is considered an acceptable level of performance? Example, when you are talking about mathematics, perform numeric division, accurate to how many decimal places? Okay, or when I say write an essay, 100 word is also considered an essay. 200 word also considered. 1000 word is also an essay. What is the expected level of performance? So for me, okay, I put it down as 500 word essay. So take note that out of these three things, yeah, action verb, condition, and also standard. Sometimes you will have action verb and condition and standard. Sometimes you will have action verb, condition, no standard. Sometimes you will have verb and standard, no condition. It's acceptable. Okay, but you cannot have a learning outcome without verb. Yeah, the action verb must be there. Standard and condition sometimes can be absent depending on the situation. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some examples. Yeah, I think I've not talked so long for a long time. Okay, let's look at this. Identify the verb, condition, and standard. Look at this example here. Can you identify the verb, the first one? Just type your answer in the chat. Calculate using the principles, the drop per minute of the micro intravenous infusion based on, I must ask Ba-Yi this one. This is about the sing one, right? So Ba-Yi, what is the verb? Calculate, okay. Condition. Okay, so you have the verb, calculate, the condition. Using, yeah, okay, using the principles. And then the standard is? Okay, sorry, the drop per minute is also the condition, yeah? And the standard is? Standard is based on based on what is the standard that just now. Standard. Oops. Standard. Okay, what is considered the acceptable level of performance that is standard? Okay. So you have 3 things here that states the condition, and then the standard based on what? Okay, let's look at another example. Write an effective course outcomes that include lower and higher order cognitive skills for 1 semester course. So verb should be quite easy, right? Verb is your verb is write. Okay. And what is the condition? It must be effective. Okay. Oops, too fast. It must be effective, and it must include lower and higher order things, higher cognitive skills. And what is the standard? That is for 1 semester. Okay, it's like just now I said standard is how many words? 500 words, 100 words, 1000 words. That's the standard. Okay. So the criteria for good LO, as I've mentioned earlier, it has to be specific, it has to be measurable. Okay, measurable means you must be able to observe it. It must be achievable within that period of time, whether it's that lesson, that 10 or 12 weeks or 13 weeks or whatever. Okay, and of course it has to be relevant and with the time base. Okay, these are the criteria for writing any LO. It's almost the same as when we do our own goal setting for our own life. Yeah. So badly written learning outcomes. What are some of the attributes to poorly written one? Of course, they are not measurable. So like this, at the end of the course, the student should be able to understand the theory of X. What do you mean by understand? How are you going to measure they understand or not? Okay, or if you write, students should be able to know how to write, like I mentioned just now earlier in my example. Know, how do you measure know, don't know? Another one is appreciate. Appreciate the importance of keeping the environment clean. How are you going to measure that? Okay, these are all very subjective. So if you say that you want students to be able to understand the theory of X, how are you going to make them show you, okay, so that you can see that they understand? Is perhaps giving a test, and then your test, one of the questions you might ask, explain theory of X in 20 words. Okay, so instead of just saying understand the theory of X, you should be saying students should be able to explain the theory of X. So when they are able to write, that shows that, of course, when they write, it makes sense. Then that shows that they are able to explain. And of course, in other words, they understand what it is. So it has to be very explicit, yeah? So when you write learning outcomes, do avoid all these words. All these are action words, but then they are not acceptable when it comes to writing learning outcomes. The reason is it's difficult to measure because it's hard for us to observe. How do we observe that they learn? How do we know that when they learn? We know that when they learn, when they're able to, example, when they're able to compare A and B, okay, or when they are able to construct a sentence using whatever, then we are able to know that they learn. Okay, being aware, how do we measure? We can't measure whether they are aware or not. Being familiar, how do we know what they are familiar? So do avoid all these words here when you write the CLO. Okay. Sometimes some LOs are also too generous, or rather too generous, what am I talking? Too general or ambiguous, where it can be interpreted in many different ways. Yeah, like you say, students are able to use the computer, make presentations, comment on designs, or design research. They are too general. Use the computer for what? Use the computer to put the leg on top. Yeah, make presentations. What kind of presentations? There are so many presentations. Making a slideshow is also considered making presentation. Presenting and orally is also making a presentation, right? Or even now there are so many different or new applications like using Canva, all this. Does that considered making presentation? Is that acceptable to you? So do think about this. Try not to be too general. Okay. Examples of poor LO. Okay, students will be able to perform a research. How would you make it better here? How do you think we can improve it? Can you write in the chat? This is where the practical part comes, yeah? Okay. Can you write in the chat? What is your idea on making it better here? Students will be able to perform research. How would you improve it? Okay, I give you 2 minutes. Okay, you can write your answers in the chat. What are your suggestions? So that I can give my throat some rest. Okay. Can you type your answer in the chat? Minutes up already. How would you improve this student will be able to perform research? What would you put in to make it better? Develop a research proposal by the end of the course. Okay, right? Oh, you have a happy family there. Very cute. Any other suggestions? Okay, so this is a suggested one here. Students will be able to perform research on a given topic for sources within the 5 most recent years using the internet. Okay, right. Another one, students will be able to swim. How would you improve this LO? Students will be able to swim. You can put your suggestions in the chat box. Swim what? Swim like a doggy also is considered swimming, right? Or just floating in the water, is that considered able to swim? Able to swim in 5-meter long pool within X minutes. Okay, good try, Alicia. Right? Okay, so you can say students will be able to swim 50 meters in a swimming pool using the butterfly stroke. Yep, you can also write within how many minutes and all. Okay, so you see, it's really up to you, yeah. What is it that you want the students to achieve? Okay, it could be using the doggy style also or whatever, but what do you deem is necessary for the students to be able to perform by the end of whatever time that you decide. All right, so actually now it's your turn. But never mind, we do it together. Okay, so poor LOs, yeah, students will demonstrate knowledge of the work of nursing theories for self-care and including the activities in daily living. How do you think we can write it better? This one again, back to Pak Yi, yeah. Pak Yi, you're the only nursing colleague here. Can you help? You don't have to write it. I mean, you can also turn on your mic to just say it. How would you improve it? Pak Yi can help. Pak Yi.
Hello. I'm very shy to okay. Okay. So we will for demonstrations more on like application. So we will say that the students will be able to apply. Apply to learn nursing theories. For example, this went into the nursing theory. Apply the nursing theories learned. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Like for example, self-care including activity and learning. But I mean, usually we don't specific until that because the nursing theories we have a lot of nursing theories. So we will say it's that apply the nursing theories that they learn into the clinical business by the end of the course.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, Ken has also put in his idea here. Students are able to apply nursing theory on self-care and daily living activities. Okay, good try. Right. So, okay, so this is just an example. Yeah, students will be able to explain the theoretical basis of nursing theories. I think there's a typo here. Yeah, in relation to self-care and the activities of daily living. Okay. Let's try another one. Students will understand how to use technology effectively. Okay, anyone? Anybody? Two-way, yes. Definitely two-way. How to use technology. What technology? So how can you make it sound better? Ken, you can type in your idea. Others also can contribute. Ashraf? Ashraf, you're from engineering, so maybe any idea from the engineer's point of view? Not so sure. Not too sure what to do with it. So vague. Okay, well, you can say something like students will be able to apply. What is it? Yeah, what kind of technology you're looking at? Word processing, spreadsheets, databases, or presentation graphics in preparing for their final research project and report. Okay, Ken shares here. Students are able to describe the basic technology composition through identification of components, devices, and systems. Okay, good try, good try. But he says demonstrate the use of what? Computer in what is that? Cable car or helicopter. You're very good at using all these emoticons. Okay, let's try another one. Students will develop an appreciation of cultural diversity in the workplace. So this is something to do with affective domain. How would you improve it? Appreciation of cultural diversity. Anybody? It's about DEI. Do I have any DEI people here? No. Yeah, no. No MPU lecturers here also. Okay, tough one, yeah, this one. Okay, let me share with you the answer. Students will be able to summarize in writing their feelings about cultural diversity in the workplace. So this is actually something that is quite common for like I mentioned to you, the MPU courses that we help students to develop their affective part, is asking students to do reflection, asking them to talk about what they have experienced, what they have learned in their projects. When they carry out, they need to do some events, and most of the events are related to things like some kind of charity work for some NGO or creating awareness and so on. So we want them to reflect on their experience working with this external stakeholders, as well as working in a team with their peers. What was it like, working in a team? What did they learn from this, and how they can make use of what they have learned in the future, and also to reflect on if they were given a chance to do the same thing again, what would they do? So this will show by getting them to talk about this, they will be able to demonstrate the effective part, yeah, Of course, it's not so easy to measure, and of course, sometimes it's also quite difficult for students to express. So they also go through a lesson to teach them how to express and how to write reflection reports like this. Okay. Students will be able to understand the economic environment on business and nursing. This one for the School of Business and Nursing lecturers. We have a lot from School of Business today, right? So anyone? Remember, I said understand is a word that you should avoid. So what kind of words can you use instead of understand? Anybody? Sheila, you want to try? Okay, I have Ken who has given his response here. Students are able to apply economic environment methods in business and nursing via written assessments. Okay, good try. Sheila, would you like to try? Sheila is too shy. Sheila is not around. Describe the economic environment, but he says, okay, instead of saying understand. Okay, maybe. Yeah, right. So let's look at the suggestion here. Students will be able to analyze the impacts of economic environment on nursing as a business entity. Okay. Next one. Students will be able to know the 7 steps of the research process. Okay. What do you think? To know. You shouldn't be using the word to know. What kind of words can we use instead of to know? To describe, okay, right? Okay, Alicia. To describe, yeah. To explain, okay, students will be able to describe the 7 steps of the research process in preparing for their final research project. Okay, so remember not to write to know. The next one. The student will understand the importance of cell growth and reproduction. So again, understand. What can we use here? Instead of understand, discuss. Okay, right, discuss. So again, you can explain. Okay, right, good. Right, one last activity. So there are 6 learning outcomes here, and they are not well written. So I'd like you to get into your group and discuss why they are not well written, and then rewrite them in 10 minutes. And then we will come back and we will share. Okay? So I'm going to put you into your breakout room. I split you into 3 rooms. All right. 3 rooms. Okay, maybe you can take a picture first of the questions, or rather the statements here. And then you can get into your breakout room. You have 10 minutes to talk about why they are not well written and how you can improve them. Like what we did just now, okay? Suggest a way to make it better. Are you ready? Okay. All right. And I open the room now. Hello, everyone. Are you okay? Okay. All right. So I'll leave you to do it, yeah?
Michelle, the answers or the corrections that we do, right? We can type in the chat.
All of us here now. Pretty much
Can.
all of us are here. So
Can. Yep. You can type in the chat, or if you want, you can share your screen afterwards as well. Or if you just want to just say it out, also okay.
I cannot. I really need my brain cell cannot memorize.
Okay, so you got all the LOs, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll see you later, yeah. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a fruitful discussion. So can we have room 1 to share your suggestions first? Who is the representative of room 1? Room 1? No rep. You can self-appoint. Room 1, we have Alicia, Allison, Ken, Malini, and Siti Intan.
Got my name? Sorry.
Yeah, you were in room 1. So someone from
Yes.
room 1, please share. You want to share? What are the answers or suggestions? Come on.
We typed our answers in the chat box as missing. How come? Oh, it is the room.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
why
it's in the
nobody
room.
remember
Now-
what we all like
Okay,
about.
then it's okay.
Oh my God.
What
Oh
we
my
do
God.
is- Oh, okay. Too long, never use Zoom. I think we will just do according to the question that we volunteered just now.
Okay, can. So the
Mm.
first one, it's okay, let me share my
Marketing,
screen.
right?
Ah.
Okay,
Okay, let me share my screen, then you will have the it all there. Okay. Right, the first one. Who is doing the first one? You can just say out your suggestion.
Okay. Ours is said instead of writing, you use the verbs of to learn. We change it to explain the 3 main principles of marketing sales or sales marketing. I don't know. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Ken. All right.
So for the second one is
Mhm.
okay. Ashraf is suggesting have the experience, but because there's no verb in it, so I propose that to prepare the carbonara pasta using the gluten-free pasta and soy milk, to be more specific.
Okay.
And the third one will be the student will be able to write the hypothesis of a research on creating a human-like robot. That is
Okay. Any more?
Fourth is for CP, they all right.
Sorry?
Our group, because we delegate the task, is I think Christabel.
Okay, hold on. Students will be able to analyze. You want to go with analyze?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to go with analyze the concepts that is reflected in the module.
Okay. Concepts about something.
Something, yes.
Okay. Number 5.
Okay, number 5. Okay, so number 5, we will go with recall. Students will be able to recall basic concepts or related to food and beverage aspects.
Okay.
So lower level.
Low level.
And then, yeah, the 6th one is more towards able to design or to construct. Students will be able to construct and apply the Newton law.
Yeah.
Construct and apply. Okay.
Yeah, it's more towards the creation, I reckon. How to apply. What do you think?
Okay. Okay, be very
Evaluate is also okay.
careful. Be very careful with having two action verbs because construct and
Okay.
apply, there are two different things, two different levels. So either to construct something, something, something based on the Newton's law, or to apply Newton's law in whatever context that you want to put.
Okay.
Two different ones.
So we probably will demonstrate the understanding of how to apply.
Demonstrate understanding. So how would you, if you say demonstrate understanding, then okay, the word demonstrate, although we use it, but sometimes I find that it's a bit tricky because demonstrate can be in many different ways. So
in terms
when
of
you say,
interpreting the results.
Okay, so then you would think about what would be the assessment tool that you're going to use. Remember just now earlier I showed a list of like you know, what are the activities that you can use to get students to demonstrate that they know this, whether it's a case study, it's a project, or it's an exam question, or it's a role play, or it could be a drama.
Yeah.
So it's project, right? Then you will need
Yes.
to state it very clearly. Students will be able to apply Newton's law in, I don't know, in a design of a project using whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I have got in here written all the answers, is it? Your suggestions, right? The hypothesis of a research on creating a human-like robot. Okay, Ken here suggests students are able to apply Newton's 3 laws of motion through a series of practical assessments. That's good. Okay, but he says demonstrate something using something. Demonstrate something using Newton's law. Okay, right, good. Anyone else want to give their suggestions? Any other suggestions that you want to put in? Oops. Keep on clicking onto the next one. Okay, if not, then we will move on to the next one. Good try, everyone. Just a few reminders, okay, before we end the session. When you are writing the LO, remember I mentioned just now, it's not compulsory for your LO to have all 3 learning domains. Usually it's just one domain only, whether it's cognitive, psychomotor, or affective. So just one. So you don't put down C2, A3, B4, no need, okay? What I showed you earlier in the example of the table 4, just one domain, one learning domain to one PLO. That would be enough. One learning domain, one PLO. Okay. Second thing is achievement of lots and HOTS has to be differentiated. Okay, but lots have to be achieved first before achieving the HOTS. Yeah. So when you write, make sure you have your sequence. So you have your CLO 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, right? Make sure you have the lower order one first, then only the higher order. Not the other way around. Not CLO 1, solve the problems, then only CLO 2 explain. It should be the lower level first, then as it goes up. Okay. I also mentioned this one just now. It's not necessarily to have the condition and the standard in every LO that we write, but you must have the verb. Okay, verb condition or verb standard is acceptable. So you can have something like this: design a curriculum based on the MQF and LJM standard, which is the verb and the condition. Or at the end of the course, you design a bachelor in nursing curriculum meeting complete MQF and LJM requirement, which has the verb, the condition, and the standard. Okay. Remember, which I mentioned just now, you cannot have two verbs in the same domain. Yeah. Where you have just now apply and construct. So here in the example, state, define, explain, no need to have so many, just one will do. If a student is able to explain, means the student can actually state, and if you were to ask the student to define, he or she should be able to define as well, because if the person is not able to define, he doesn't know what is it. So of course the student cannot explain that. So if the student can explain, which means that the lower ones, we assume that the students can achieve already. So only write the highest one will do. Okay. Now, let's recap. I know we are coming to the end already. Yeah. What did we do today? We talk about learning outcomes, of course. I started with talking about designing the learning outcomes, and I asked you who designed the learning outcomes. Okay. So remember, the design of the learning outcomes come from these 5 groups of people here. The MQA, MQF 8 domains, the external stakeholder needs, which is the employers, the community, the society, and also our students. The professional bodies for those who are in engineering, nursing, and also architecture, faculty experts, all of you here, and also the institution vision and missions. So from there, you will have your program outcomes, which is upon the graduation, what your students will be able to do. And then we will decide on the courses, and then have the lesson learning outcomes. Okay. Now, when it comes to attaining the learning outcomes, it is from the students bottom up. You will have students attaining the lesson learning outcomes, and then by attaining the lesson learning outcomes, students are able to also achieve the course outcomes, and then eventually completing all the courses in the programs, the students will be able to achieve the program outcomes. So how do we know whether students can or cannot achieve the outcomes that we have written? It's all about our assessments. And our assessments, we always have to bear in mind, it has to be outcome-based assessments. When we want to design our assessments, we need to look at our learning outcomes. What are we expecting our students to be able to do, to be able to perform? And that's when we will look at how are we going to collect the evidence? How are we going to make the students demonstrate to us that they can perform that particular outcome that we have written for them? Okay. A good LO should have 3 things. Can you remember what are the 3? Can you list it in the chat? What are the 3 things? What condition standard? Is Ba'i correct? Okay, we should have the verb, we have the condition, and we should have the standard. Very good. So Ba'i is a good student today. Okay, my last question. How does the LO help lecturers? How does the LO help all of you? How does it help you? Achieve our goal. Achieve your goal or your student's goal? Achieve your goal or student's goal? Course learning outcomes, is it your goal or the student's goal? Both ways. to be on Ashraf says to be in the right part, okay? Yeah, to ensure that you are in the right direction, right? So the LOs actually help you to have a clarity of purpose and focus. so that you don't, get distracted along the way. Okay, always go back to my analogy of moving from point A to point B. All right, moving from Penang to Kuala Lumpur. Along the way, right, there is a lot of nice places to visit, a lot of nice food in Ipoh. Yeah, don't get distracted and stay in Ipoh and eat, and then you forget that you're supposed to go to KL. All right, yeah, or you spend too much time eating and visiting all the other places on the way to Kuala Lumpur that suddenly you realize it's the end of the semester, but you have not reached there yet. That's when you say, alamak, cannot finish teaching my students. Okay, so your LO will be your guide, yeah, to help you to stay focused so that you can plan your journey. Plan your journey. Plan what you want to do each week, each lesson to help your students move towards where you want to be. Okay, it also helps you to decide how you want to teach your student. If your LO is about students constructing something, designing something, able to write a report or something like this, you must ensure that your teaching and learning activities throughout the semester actually help the students to build towards that. Okay, students must be able to write a report. So let's say it's to write a report, maybe write a business proposal or something like that. Yeah, so your that 10, 12 or whatever weeks that you have, you must be ensure that throughout that few weeks there, you spend on telling the students, sharing with them how to write a business plan. Not just say, but this is your assignment, you're supposed to write a business plan, go and do it and submit to me. Sometimes students at the end of the semester come back, or when they're end of semester, they submit to you and then you say, huh, what is this? This is not what you want. Well, they don't even know what you want because you have not been sharing with them through your teaching and learning activities. Okay, so that's the misalignment sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Of course, selecting the assessment methods, deciding on your exam questions. Right? If you are asking your students to evaluate something, you want your students to be able to evaluate, you have to make sure that your assessment question, your final exam, have got questions that ask students to evaluate, not just question about asking them to state, define, list. Then suddenly when it comes to DAB, your board members will ask you, how come your results all so good? Everybody get A. Then something is wrong, right? If you go into it, looking at your exam questions, it's because you're not measuring at the right level. Okay, too low level. Yeah. Or it could be why everybody failed? Because your LO is written that they should be able to apply only. And all this while you teach them to only apply. But in your final exam, your question asks them to construct something. They cannot achieve that, so they fail. Okay, so it's all linked together. So the LO is like the thing that will ensure whatever thing that you do in the entire semester will be aligned. Yeah, and at the end of the semester, you will have to submit your end of semester report. So in your end of semester report, there are a few questions there where you are asked to reflect and to write about it. Actually, the report is not just do for the sake of doing because we have to do. It's actually for you to reflect on what happened in the whole semester. There is no right, no wrong, yeah, okay? You can be trying a different method different strategy and all, and then you can look at the CLO achievement, whether it is helping or not helping the student, and what was the issue. Okay, there is no right, no wrong, so don't be afraid of being very honest in your reflection in your end of semester report, because from your end of semester report, you will also then realize that some things that are not going the right way. Okay, maybe it's the CLO, maybe it's the assessment that is wrong or what, and that should actually prompt you to propose for changes, to propose for revision, so that the content will stay relevant. Okay, and you can propose the changes in the program committee meeting, and then the following semester you can implement the new one, and then again reflect on whether it works or it does not work, and so on. Okay, now the LO is very important for you, but it's also very important for the students. Like I said just now, if you're telling your student you're taking them from point A to point B, your point B is Kuala Lumpur, what are they expected to do? They're expected to look at Petronas Twin Towers, describe the building, or count how many floors are there, or whatever. Okay, you will help the students to know whether they are meeting the expectation or not. If the students do not know about their outcome, they won't know whether they achieve it or not. So it's very important that at the beginning of the semester, you tell the students the course learning outcomes. And for every single lesson, tell the students what are the lesson learning outcomes. And then help them to reflect whether they achieve or did not achieve. And tell them if they did not achieve, they should start to seek help. Not wait until the end of the semester, only say, come, sir, miss, I don't know this, I don't know that. Now only I know I'm supposed to know this or I'm supposed to know that, but it's too late already. Not enough time. Okay, so do share with the students so that they are aware of what is expected of them, what is the level that is expected of them. Okay, so that they are aware when they have achieved or not achieved the outcomes. Okay, this will also help the students to know how they are going to learn to achieve the outcomes. If they are expected to come up with a project, they come up with an maybe an idea, or what are they expected to do? Are they expected to go to see some external stakeholders to gather some data, or what? Or are they supposed to just do group discussion to talk about it? So this will actually help them to learn better. Right. So lastly, if we agree and support OBE, how should we teach in order to help students to achieve the LO? What do you think? How do you think we should teach? Any idea? Today you learning outcomes already. And I tell you more about OBE. So how should you teach in order to help students to achieve the LO? What should you do? Be student-centered. Okay, some more? Come on. 12:49, I want to go for lunch. Do you want to go for lunch? Be constructive, okay? Be active. Okay, all right. Well, how should you be teaching is driven by how you want this, is driven by how you write your LO, okay? Be very clear about your LO, and then be clear about your assessment, okay? Your assessments. And then from there, you decide on your teaching and learning methods. All right. On teaching and learning methods and strategies, that would be another workshop because that's going to be another huge topic. So today, these are our learning outcomes to differentiate between PO, PLO, CLO, LLO. Are you clear about all this already? I've asked you many times over and over throughout the whole workshop today. I hope you are familiar with 4 terms here. Okay. And to describe the 3 domains of learning, can you remember the 3 domains of learning? What are the 3 domains of learning? Anybody? Cognitive, psychomotor, affective. And what is cognitive? Cognitive is to do with the thinking, okay? The brain, the knowledge, okay? Psychomotor is to do with the skills, physical skills, yeah? Physical skills. And affective? Affective is your behavior, okay? Your emotions as well, yeah? Your attitude towards certain things. And for cognitive, we usually use the Bloom's taxonomy. Psychomotor, we use the Simpsons, okay? And for affective is the graph walls. And the last one is to be able to write appropriate learning outcomes. I think we did a group activity with you on that. Okay, so that's about it from me. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for me? But you have time to celebrate already. Friday is here, right? No questions? All good? All right. TGIF, yes. Okay. Well, if you have other questions, if you think of other questions later, you can always drop me an email. Okay, we are all in the same domain already, so you can just easily get my email in the domain in Outlook. Okay, just remember that my name is Leong Michelle. It starts with the L. Don't just type M because that will go to Mitchell Leong in UG. Okay, so mine starts with L. So he has been forwarding me a lot of emails. It's supposed to be for me, but people type M and then send to him. Our names are very similar. I know. Okay, so start with L, yeah? All right. So thank you very much, everyone. It's now time for lunch. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Malini. Have a good weekend. Take good care. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you,
everyone, for attending. Thank you for your time. Have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. Take care and see you soon again.
Thank you.
Hey, bye-bye.